Congratulations on your initiation, baby dolls. You have now witnessed the planned Donald Trump assassination attempt. This has hopefully opened your eyes as to how the world really works. And boy, oh boy, this rabbit hole, friends, goes really, really, really deep. We're going to go uncover some stuff. We're going to touch things. We're going to touch on aliens, UFOs, UFO tech, human control, population. Where does it all end? It ends with you and me being long crypto. That's how it's going to end. But first, friends, let's talk about our journey. Our journey is actually starting, okay? Now, let's look at this image of Donald Trump, the deep state, okay? The deep state. So how did we get from here to here? How did we get here, right? Where one man is being shot at, literally missed him just by an inch. How did we get to that point? Well, friends, it's very obvious, okay? And remember, it is a journey for you and me, all right? And the journey is going to have some journey music, some Pokemon journey music, because that's what it all comes down to, friends. The government and most presidents are obviously just puppets being pulled on a string from the deep state players. Yes, that's pretty much it. They're all puppets. Everyone you and I see, most of them just puppets, okay? And it's very obvious, okay, friends, as we go down. I mean, like, we don't even need to give you examples for this ones. Joe Biden, the current president of the US of A, obviously doesn't call the shots. He's wearing a diaper. He trips upstairs. We know, man. He needs directions to move and talk. You know he's not fit. You know he's not calling the shots at all. How's the country still running? It doesn't need him. All right, it just needs him to be the face. Now, friends, of course, this journey needs some journey music. Some Pokemon journey music, if you will. And it really is magical. And trust me, it's going to go really deep down this rabbit hole, friends. Okay, so people have known about that deep state. So you're going to hear deep state. So what does it mean, okay? Deep state, they have puppets, okay? Now, here's the thing. The media, public media, they always put the wool over the population's eyes. And the president, Joe Biden, okay, he is not filled in on all the government workings, updates, and background developments. And let me tell you something. No president is. None of them is. They all have advisors and networks. They don't get told about everything. They only get told stuff. Hey, what do you need to know? Here's a summary of everything you need to know. Okay? And then there are methods of these insiders who know how to distract the president if they ask questions too much. They go, oh, this one's a dead end, or, you know, there's no things to share with this, okay? So there are different compartments out here. So the government, that's how they work, friends. Everything's split up. It's very, like, inefficient, but it's purposefully designed like that, okay? That's what it is, okay? Now, obviously, the president himself is manipulated and coerced with perma-government advisors. So that's who the deep state is. The deep state is that connection to... So the deep state is obviously people outside of the government, more powerful people, but they have control in the government, a lot of part of the government, okay? They are permanent people there, all right? They are advisors, opinions, whatever they are, the contractors. There's permanent power structures there. And, okay, the president, he's basically coerced, and basically, yeah, you don't want to poke that hornet's nest, all right? And it's going to lead down one path, okay? So after all the research I've done that you can do out there, you can pretty much see, start connecting all the pieces of the puzzle, you'll eventually see it comes down to advanced weapons technology, all right? Advanced weapons technology, okay? Now, we use the word as UFO tech, UFO weapons, but pretty much it's advanced weapons. That's what they are. They're just UFOs are just us, but like, hey, what happens when we roll forward this science stuff 100,000 years into the future, okay? It's like way more advanced than what humans have, okay? And of course, I mean, like, every time I'm telling you this, friends, just play these clips in your mind, right?
President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky.
President Biden had blown it seemed.
So, you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. Come on, bro. We know. Okay, so it all makes sense now, right? Now, here's the thing. Friends, even the, and I'm not going to say the word, but even the, look at these letters, even the C, and then there's an I, and then there's another letter here, the Kia. I call them the Kia. You see this? 3-letter words. All right, now, I can't ping them, friends. We're on YouTube, all right? They invented the term conspiracy theorist to downplay the label of the term, okay? And they wanted, it's to convince mid-curvers, which is just literally most of the population, to go back to living in their blue pill matrix. They're like, don't worry, conspiracy theories. This guy's a nut job, a whack job. Okay, it's the oldest trick in the book, okay? And they literally did, friends. By the way, the Kia, they did invent the term conspiracy theorists. They did it, and they put it out there in the public opinion. It's well documented, okay? So here's the truth, friends. As you already know, right? 70% of people, just sheep. That's it, just sheep. And they like being sheep. And they like being told to comply to the narrative fed to them, even from leaders who can't speak anymore, like we just saw with Uncle Joe Biden. Now, here's the thing, friends. Innately in our evolution, it is like beneficial to your genes if you comply. Because if you comply with the tribe, then you get access to the food, and you get access, your children will be safe, your wife or husband will be safe if you're of a lady. So we're built in our DNA to comply. Okay, so that's in the tribe here. But do you see though? Now we are in big city structures where you and I, our programming, friends, our DNA stuff, we can only live in a tribe of 200 people. After about 200 people, you get a big drop-off in your happiness factor with closeness of a community. Right? This is also social studies, all science. So after about 200 people, no one cares about you pretty much. So here's the thing. When you and I are hearing stories out there, you ever wonder, like, how come, for example, your friend Tommy and you, I know 99% of you thinking like this, friends, how come all of us are like, wait a minute, you're not telling the truth? How can we think like that and we're not complying? Well, it's because they're not in our tribe. And our brains haven't evolved to think like a 7 billion person tribe yet, which is Earth. We haven't evolved that fast yet. The technology's gone up so fast, but we're still stuck in kind of like Middle Ages days, which in the grand scheme of things, on $1 million, a million year time frame, yeah, this 100 years is a blip. It literally is a blip in the ocean. But we're in this beautiful, I guess, this wedge part where there's friction. It's like, hey, our brains are still stuck in 300 years ago, but the technology is trying to shoot up in 300 years into the future. Okay, so now we can actually see, friends, the deep state actually calls all the shots. Yes, they do. And what is the deep state? Well, honestly, I don't know. No one knows, really, but there are a lot of common themes that you see. So it's a connected spider web of about up to 200 people, families, and members, and they ultimately make all the calls. And if you spend enough time out here, friends, you can actually find a lot of the deep state surnames. Okay, I'm not going to say them, but there's heaps. It's not just this family name. You see this R family name? It's not just them. There's heaps, friends. Trust me. Yes, they are a big part of it, but it's not just them. They are a giant part of it. All their trees and stuff. So there's all these others ones, and yes, it does branch out. But there's about 200-ish. They think, but do we really know? We don't really know. But you can just tell, it's a theme, man. It's a theme. It's the theme. We understand. Now, what you're ultimately going to find is nobody has all the answers, and no one can ever know all the answers because just of how everything works, we're going to go through. Okay, it's literally impossible to find all the answers because you're dealing with sometimes non-human intelligence who are kind of manipulating the information. They're just backpedaling time. Okay, so there's a lot of stuff going on. It's literally impossible for us to know all the answers. Okay, now obviously, if you go down the rabbit hole, you'll find that the US Federal Reserve and the money printer is a big part of the connection. It is their tool. Okay, it's their tool, friends, because everybody in the population, we are working. So our labor units, we spend 8 hours somewhere and they give us a currency. You store your value in the currency, okay? Now here's the thing. Because you have your value in the currency stored, you then go spend it. But they control the supply of the currency. So they can, without working, they can just supply themselves, print the currency, and they can go bribe media people, politicians. They can bribe anybody they want to kill someone, to move something, to advance something, to destroy a country, bribe countries. They can do that. And what they're actually doing is there's a purchasing power, GDP, that we all have. And when they print the money, they get a vacuum, not a vacuum. They're basically like a vulture. They get a needle, syringe, and they inject the blood out. They take the purchasing power out and they go throw it out to where they want. Okay, but see, because it's happening across everyone in the world, a tiny piece at a time, no one notices. That's inflation. That's what we have is inflation. Okay. Now, here's the thing. The money printer is a big part of this connection. And of course, they fund the industrial military complex. Very obvious. Okay, that's what it pretty much is, because that's, friends. Because why? See, Bitcoin has a bid, but there's no war. It's a peaceful protest because if you sell Bitcoin, no one can come and attack you. It's a free open market, all right? However, with the US currency, if there's a country that says, hey, we're about to dump all your bonds and we want to make our own currency, the government, US government goes, okay, they're literally the Kia and the FIBI, the FB, the other all these other agencies, they have their own networks, and obviously they will go and install another dictator in that country. They'll kill whoever's the leader of that country, which happened many, many times. Like it happened to Gaddafi. Friends, Gaddafi, he wanted to make his own gold-backed currency and he wanted to use the euro and something else. They literally paraded him around town with a knife up his rectum. That's what they did. Okay, I'm not joking. They sliced his head off and they put a knife up his rectum. That's because what happened was, obviously the US, the military, the Kia and the FIBI, they fund the rebel group. That's what they do. They fund the rebel group. They give them all the weapons and enough money to go overturn them. And they go, and the person they install says, hey, we love the US dollar. We're not going to do our own currency. We're going to play ball. Okay. So as you can see, the industrial military complex is linked everywhere. Now, interesting, right? One government leaker on his deathbed mentioned one way how they actually fund these black book projects of how they fund them. So all these other things, you're like, how do they actually fund them? Well, basically, friends, they use war-torn countries and they launder money, okay? Maybe you've heard about Ukraine and stuff recently as well. That's one way. They use many avenues like that, okay? That's how they fund the projects in. So all these money laundering tactics, and they also use the Forex currency system. They move money around the world to do that. There are books that don't get recorded publicly. And yeah, you and I have no way to track it. You can't do anything about it. That's what they do. Okay. Now, I remember there was more specific things of how they did. One guy on his deathbed confession actually mentioned it. It's one of these kind of like alien UFO kind of things directly related. But he worked in one of the departments. I think he even worked there. It's like he's literally one of the government makers, one of the government agency workers. He worked there. Maybe he was either a science-related field guy, research. I don't know what he did, but he was literally in his 80s, like 84. He's about to die, literally 2 weeks away from dying. And he basically said, yeah, this is kind of how we do it. And it is what it is. Whenever we need funding, friends, also from this funding part, from this money printing part, that's how they bribe people too. So they're like, hey, how much money do you want to shut up? Okay, well, this is what you're going to do this to play ball. And that's how they control the influences. Okay. So the population though, friends, as you see, the population never sees this printed money because it's a fiat system. It's not transparent. There's no public ledger like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Okay, so that's why this system, it's inferior. All right. Now, I do not speak of all their family names and draw attention on YouTube for obvious reasons, but you've heard of some of them before. So I'm not gonna name the names. You keep pinging them, friends. Okay, they'll find a way, friends. They shadow ban you. They just shadow ban you. It is what it is. Okay. You can't find stuff anymore. Notifications don't appear. It is what it is. Okay. Now, here's the thing. Many US agencies in the government, they are connected to the Kia, the FIBI, Secret Service, you name it. And of course, it all stems to the military. These players can never be taken out because they are never elected by the people. And you and I don't know who they are. But here's the thing. Even if you did find one, they install someone else later on. Okay. That's why they always put a puppet leader. Because they're never elected by the people, right? Because there's people in the inside. There's always a puppet in front. And why? It's because when things go wrong, if they do, that's the emergency. They go, let's eject that leader, put a new face. New face, and everyone's sweet, okay? You've always seen it, right? There's a puppet master. That's pretty much what happens. Now, you can think progress is made if they remove someone. That's the thing, okay? Now, these deep staters, they will stay in government office. So obviously, their own workmen, whatever they are in the government, their own people, they're in office for like 30 years at a time. They're public, permanent government people. And they're always working in the background. They're not on part of the 4-year presidential term. Okay, they're both party. There's no party for them. It's just the government. It's the US government. There's no Democrat, Republican. It's insider. You're either an insider or an outsider. There's no team blue, team red, okay? It's team black pretty much. Now, the last time someone tried basically to dismantle the Kia and the FIBI and do this, do you want to know what happened to him? President JFK. Ever heard from him, friends? Ever heard of him as well? So obviously JFK was shot. You watch the videos. His Secret Service, coincidentally, after running through this 300,000 times, they leave open like 3/4 of the car and a shot comes through. Like that's weird. How come this randomly on English road moved along the car and they just give an opening out here? There's many friends. Obviously they were behind the. Okay, now Just to let you know, it's 100% true. Okay, so JFK wanted to disband the Kia and other government agencies. He also wanted to do was, the industrial military complex. He wanted to dilute it, make it weaker. He also wanted to share UFO technology, so our advanced technology. He wanted us, the US, to share it with the Russians and say, hey, what do you know about the aliens and the UFO tech and stuff of these retrievals? What do you know about them? So this is literally just 15 red flags. They're like, oh, okay, this guy's finished. This guy's finished. So he went after everything, right? JFK. And then they put a bullet in his head within 12 months. Like, okay, well, see you later. They probably tried to tell him, hey, we think it's a bad idea. We don't think you should do this. That's what they do, friends. First, they don't tell you straight away we're going to kill you. It's just like, hey, this is not a good idea. Are you sure, Mr. President? You shouldn't do this. My advisor said not to do this. Very bad things will happen, Mr. President. It's very, very bad. And they're like, no, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. I've told you thousands of times, man. Okay. Right, the water pistol squirt. There are heaps of other examples, friends. So the Kia director, William Colby, he was drowned and then suicided like Epstein too. So director Colby as well, man. Shout out to the grandma. There's a grandma in my YouTube comment section. Okay, God bless you. I still remember I talked about this a year ago. She goes, no, Sammy, you're wrong. I was around in the 90s when this happened and he drowned. Come on, bro. Grandma, okay, data, really? Come on, man. You really think he drowned? Why was he swimming at a beach knee deep high by himself? He's the Kia director. Come on. By the way, there were leaks as well. Apparently, it got to do with revealing UFO tech once again. So as you can see, advanced weapons, friends, it's a common theme. Whenever someone is leaking the advanced weapons talk, advanced weapons, okay, which is obviously beyond nuclear, it's UFO tech, anti-gravity tech, that's what it is. Anti-gravity, manipulating gravity and stuff, beyond our science, what we have right now, what mainstream think, it always leads to, okay, get rid of this guy, put someone else in. So, as you can tell, friends, the rabbit hole goes very deep. And now, baby dolls, so play some nice gentle angel music because, you're probably wondering, where does this all ultimately lead to? And look, I can tell you that the biggest explanation and reason why. So after all of them, you're like, okay, I've watched thousands and thousands of hours of material, reading, sources, everything, all these people, everything, and I'm just like watching them back to back, after all these years, so many years, over and over and over again, I finally can tell you, it comes back to two things, but they're all related, okay? Number one, human population control, all right? That's number one. And two, the UFO technology. So it's weapons of mass destruction potential. Now, this is where it's interesting part. These two reasons, so controlling the population and advanced weapons tech, UFO tech, okay, the UFOs, they're actually the same part of the same reason, okay? The concept, all right, now obviously the concept relates to all of humans advancing to a higher state of society in civilization, okay, without blowing ourselves up, okay? So first, remember, there's two parts of that. First, we've got to advance, which is mad tech, anti-gravity stuff, right? But without blowing yourself up, that's the important part. Okay, we'll get to that. So this is pretty much my conclusion. And it's not just my conclusion. A lot of people spent there are guys like watch Richard Dolan, and there's so many people, they've been doing this for 50 years plus. You know what I mean? They've been going through this material for ages, and they've been called nuts for a long time. I'm lucky. We get to come in. See, friends, we're young. We got the youth in us. Like, oh, yeah, of course it's like that. You know what I mean? It's so obvious to us, but not for them. They're from the boomer generation, man. You know what I mean? So here's the thing. So if you only watch this stuff for 2 hours, you're skeptical. All right? You're always skeptical. And here's the thing. You're now in crypto, though. All right? You're now in crypto. You just saw President Trump pretty much. They tried to kill him. So, okay, not random. So it's exactly like thinking that Bitcoin's going to zero when you first joined it, okay? See, when you first joined, Bitcoin go to zero, it's like tulip mania, but you don't understand it, right? You don't understand it. After some research, you do start to understand. So we piece together, right, all this information from across the globe. I see similarities, patterns, all of these. It's 2,000 years of books and evidence and data and all these other things. And you're like, well, you know what, friends, here's the funny part. Okay, maybe 100% of them aren't true. But even if just 1% is true, okay, it's life-changing already, okay? Because guess what? There's like 5,000 stories. Okay, you know what 1% of them is, friends? 50. That means 50 of these stories are UFO tech, advanced weapon, all this other stuff is true. 50 out of 4,950, gosh. You know what I mean? That's still life-changing as well, all right? And the dots are connected. Now, obviously, Donald Trump, friends, with the deep state, he does not fully comply to all their wishes. Okay, so you know how we see Donald Trump fist pump? Gunman dies in attack. Yes, of course, that's exactly what we're thinking. That poor gunman. A gunman, friends, has died in an attack. Okay, look what ends up happening, right? It literally missed him. 0.05 seconds away from a civil war. Donald Trump's head was like this. The next one, snap. Okay, pretty much he just turns his head. Just escapes. See, crazy, okay? So, for the most part, though, friends, look, for Donald Trump, it's not that he has researched 15,000 hours of liberty, free rights, and freedom and all these other things. He hasn't researched it himself, so he doesn't know what are the deep state actually doing. None of us can know that. But he just doesn't comply, okay? So, for example, in the zombie virus times, Dr. Fauci, okay, obviously deeply connected to the deep state, it's very obvious there. You've got to give you 15 vaccines, 16 vaccines, okay? During the zombie virus, Trump had to rely on him. He goes like, oh, okay, you're the medicine guy. Okay, give everyone the medicine. So he doesn't really, none of us really know, okay? But he just knows like, hey, there's 10 things. Okay, Trump maybe trusted 1 or 2, but he's like, the other 8 are corrupt. No, all 10 are corrupt. It's just that, you get what I mean, okay? So he doesn't really know all of these, but no one can really know. But like I said, he's a bull in a china shop. That's it. He's breaking everything. The good stuff, the bad stuff, everything, all right? Which is what you want, because there's so much bad stuff. Now, for the most part, of course, Donald Trump is a maverick rebel. He doesn't bend to their will. And it's very obvious the deep state control the media and they're doing the brainwashing, okay? They're obviously doing the brainwashing. Now, obviously, declassified black projects, friends, is pretty much it. NASA is obviously literally deep state squared, okay? It's not the fun-loving, yay, science experiments. No. Okay, now here we go. Now, the biggest question, friends, you're going to ask is, what is so possibly controversial and bad that they want to take out one dude for just a 4-year election for Donald Trump? Why? Okay, friends, now, and for this, we're going to have to actually up the ante for the Pokemon Journey music. it's crazy, man. I'll tell you, it's nuts. It's wild times we live in, friends. Now, what is that controversial thing? So, what is so controversial? Okay, the answer, my friends, is it's a bit more complex, but it's got to do with this human population control and those advanced UFO tech departments. They're all they're all in different compartments, right? Compartmentalized, all right? There's Skunk Works, Lockheed Martin, there's other government compartments. They're all working on things separately. Like, for example, they'll have tech, for example. I'm not sure if you guys know this, but you know night vision, friends? You know what night vision is from the army, right? You know this, right? Where you see literally night vision. You know, you can see in the dark. Yeah, that came from downed UFO techs, just to let you know. That's all it came from. Came from, like, literally, they saw, apparently, one of the stories, right? They saw that part of the ship, they could see in the night, and they learned from this, learn how to reverse engineer it, okay? So this is just one of the many things. Also, fiber optics. Fiber optics, we're speaking through the internet right now. A lot of it's got to do with fiber optics. They also came from all these silicon-based CPU chips from down ships. So a lot of people see them also as like gifts. Hey, is this give gifts to humanity of these down ships because these things are super advanced? Why would you go crash? Friends, it's almost like you don't want to give a monkey a basket of fruits hand to hand through the zoo. You're a zookeeper. You don't want to hand the monkey the basket of fruit. So what you'll do is you'll literally, like, without the monkey seeing, throw a picnic basket over the fence and just land apples and bananas and all this fruit. And the monkeys are like, wow, look at all this fruit that's landed out of nowhere. And they think, oh, those stupid humans had a crash. No. We threw it there for you to find the food, okay? And so, you know, back to those compartments, right? The scientists from each wing, friends, they're not communicating with each other. That's why it's very slow when they discover these things, okay? And that's why it's really slow. They're not communicating with each other. It's not real science. It's because it's so top secret. They're like, man, if this gets out, all the anti-USA, all the other people out there could potentially blow everything up, okay? Now, if you speak or leak anything, they'll literally suicide you. No questions asked. Like Boeing, friends, it's all related to UFO tech. It's literally the only thing they care about. It's not the KFC recipe. It's not the Coca-Cola recipe. No. It's literally like, hey, if the wrong hands and the wrong scientists start doing this for some other country, We don't know how to put basically the rabbit back in the hat, okay? And the biggest one they do this to, who they kill the fastest, friends, it's 0 point energy people, okay? 0 point energy. And they've been doing this for like 80 years. So what's 0 point energy? It's where you're making energy without oil. You're starting from zero, okay? So the oil industry, right? $1 trillion industry. It's pretty much almost this 100% fact, okay? Many scientists, there's so many names. I'll show you. I made posts about this. We have the names, scientists, people in all around the world, Germany, Turkey, America, so many people around the world. These poor people, poor men, their families now have to, they're gone from their families. Why? They were killed. They refused the bribe to buy the patent. So if you are researching this stuff and you make the breakthrough, someone approaches you, they offer you to buy the patent, okay? But they're like, oh, I don't want to sell the patent. If you refuse no bribe for the patent, you disappear. There was one guy literally had everything in his garage. He gets killed. His garage gets bombed. And there's so many. I'm not even gonna bother. There's like literally fences. It's almost like a joke how many there are right now. It's like, oh, it's like the fastest way to get killed is to actually do the formulas and stuff to do this and release into the world, right? So I'm not exactly sure how it works, but you get to see. You get pretty hot there. And okay, what's the big problem? Well, friends, let's read this together. If people can suddenly make their own energy without oil, then they can't control us anymore as that multi-trillion oil industry enters into panic mode. Okay, so that's pretty much what God comes down to. So if you are making energy for good or bad, remember, friends, we're using energy to power homes. Okay, what if it was energy to literally blow holes in the wall, okay? If the government can't bribe, then all the government workers, the contractors, their hitmen, the Kia, the Phoebe, all of them, they all control through the money printer. So if you are making your own energy, you don't need that money printer. You're making your own energy. Friends, imagine you're making your own energy to power your car, power your home. You don't need to pay them for all the stuff. You're not basically a slave to them anymore. Crazy. Look at all the stuff you need, friends. What do you pay your bills for? If you're making your own energy, you don't need them. You don't need them whatsoever. You're self-sustained. Imagine you made your own energy just like, to grow your own crops and everything. You see, it's literally, once the rabbit's out of the hat, there is no putting this back in, okay? So now, the next part I'm going to go into literally goes deep into speculation. And it's not like it's out of nowhere. It's purely relying on hundreds of Kia, government leakers, deathbed confessions, scientist deaths, UFO experiences, abductions, sightings, and just 100 years of reports and articles and even government admissions and all these other stuff, okay? So pretty much, friends, the further down the rabbit hole you go, where does it all lead? Where does it all lead? Well, it leads to that a lot of people think we're being controlled and watched by non-human intelligence, okay, NHI. So it's their new diplomatic word for aliens, because aliens is like, from the movies, which is probably by design. That's why they let aliens like change your image of what aliens are. That's what it comes down to. So in another more simple way, friends, just like how we go to the zoo and we're the zookeeper, okay, well, for Earth, we're not the zookeepers, okay? We're not the top of the food chain. We are part of a bigger zoo ourselves. There are zookeepers. And I also ask you, perhaps it was like always designed for humans to get to this way with this journey of how we're progressing. Maybe it is, okay? Now, we're even going to go further down the speculation, okay? Because, okay, we are just monkeys in a zoo. And what does that mean? It means you and I, we can't prove any of this reliably. Why? One, they control the media. And two, they hide information for the public. So it gets tough, okay? You can't prove it. You can't prove it. You can't say, okay, well, this is that. Just like, friends, you're a monkey. Like I said, imagine you're a monkey. You're talking to your monkey friends. And someone said, hey, apparently there's these thing called viruses. They live inside your skin. You know what I mean? And the monkey's like, how'd you prove that, idiot? You sound like a nut job. Like, I just proved, you know what I mean? Well, okay, see when we cough around each other, we get like sick. They're like, yeah, but monkeys won't be able to understand. Just like us. Our science is not advanced yet, okay? Now, friends, you all know who Neil deGrasse Tyson is, right? Like, Neil deGrasse Tyson. Well, he's a paid shill. So, Neil deGrasse Tyson, the fun-loving scientist guy. Well, he is a paid science communicator. And they're basically paid to keep the population in dumb mode, which is like weird when you hear about it. You're like, wait a minute, but they're science people advancing the knowledge. No, advancing certain knowledge, okay? Not allowed to advance the other ones, okay? You're not allowed to ask these critical questions. And you know how we know this? Years ago, it was revealed, okay, I don't have the guy's name, but there was a popular 1970s science community. There was the Neil deGrasse Tyson of the 1970s, and basically, I think his children or his grandchildren leaked one. They showed one of his pay packets, and it showed that he was getting paid by the government secretly the whole time. So he was getting paid by NASA to tell everybody aliens are not real. You're a crazy person. There's no science or evidence for that. There's outside of our field. You're crazy. That's speculation. Okay, he was literally getting paid by that secret government payroll. All right, interesting. Now, here's the thing. One of the most compelling explanations and stories related to like humans being controlled, watched, some say grooming us over time. Okay, one of the most compelling reasons is basically, it makes sense when you think about it, right? It's so that as we advance in the next thousands of years, 100,000, million years, however long it's going to take, we have to, along the way, tone down our barbaric race. Right? So we can't be barbarians anymore. So to advance, we can't like blow each other up and like get upset over these like little tiny things. We can't think like these low-level pleb stuff. We have to work together, okay, more and more. And then you're probably asking this key question, right? Why do we even need to advance in the first place? I think everything was good right now. Interesting question, right? Well, here's the thing, friends. The answer only comes down to one thing. Government agencies, right? They literally have UFOs, tech, non-human technology, right? And in the wrong hands, these things can literally blast the crap out of literally everything on Earth. Okay, how do we know this? You're getting ready to do this with nukes, by the way. There's a nuke there's more nukes than major cities in the world. So they really wanted to. If everyone really built nukes, it's game over for everyone. Okay. And what's this like tech? What's this advanced tech? It's anti-gravity. It's literally flying without the combustion. It is, if you shoot anything, everything repels you. That's it. So imagine you had a tank, you just fly into a city, any missile just repels you. Which is literally, it's unstoppable. Okay. Literally, it's a weapon of mass destruction, literally. Now, the risk though is, even in the wrong hands, so if the wrong hands get it, this is the worst part, if the wrong hands know what's possible, they will be inspired, right, with this level of science, and they'll try to eventually reverse engineer their own anti-gravity tech. So that's why the whole secret is like, hey, don't tell anyone that you can even do this in the first place, because if you tell the bad people they can do this, they will go out and do it. Friends, it's just like, you've been riding your horses your whole life, and then maybe you see someone make a car, and you're like, what's it? Before then, like, that's impossible to make. No, and then you see one made, they're like, okay, now it's just a ticking time bomb. It's a matter of time. How do they make that thing? There's these wheels and all this stuff. You see what I mean? That's the important part. Imagine you dropped off a car somewhere. Eventually, the scientists over and over and over again, they see how all the cranks and all the mechanics work. They're getting closer and closer to it. See? So as we go through this, friends, remember, humans, right? Humans are actually all the same, all right? If we know something is possible, we send people to try and make it and copy paste it. It's in our DNA, right? So we do this with crypto. When there's Bitcoin, we fork Bitcoin into oblivion. When there's Ethereum, we fork Ethereum into oblivion. When there's Uniswap, we fork the DEXs into oblivion. You see? When we see this great technology, we just keep trying to fork it, trying to figure it out. And now here's where we get even more further down the rabbit hole, right, friends? If we look at our human life as one little insignificant dot on this long line, it's impossible to see what's going on, all right? But, okay, just remember, everyone knows we're dead within the next 60 years. Pretty much everyone's dead, okay? But think about, if you are just that dot on that line, you can't see anything. And you got to acknowledge, right, human lifespan's short. And, what if, though, you could see everything on a 100,000 year time frame? That's where everything starts to open up. You see, human lifespan is now short, right? And some ancient texts even reveal that it was kind of done by design. So, friends, we have our telomere shorteners on our DNA. They're pretty much, as you age, they destroy themselves. So the longevity research is trying to advance it back. And some people, even in the ancient Bible and stuff, they used to say people used to live for 600 years. There is, I think, in ancient Persia, so Babylonia, I think there was these texts recovered where it's shown you how long kings used to live. And what's fascinating is the kings, it has recent kings and rulers that used to go for like 80 years, 30 years, 20 years, 16 years, 5 years. But before then, there were these names of all these rulers, and it was like 800 years, 600 years, 1,200 years. And then the dates change. So it's not like someone was on drugs doing it. They actually had these specific years and these specific rules of how they did it. So it's fascinating. I forgot the name of the text, but if you go to Google, you can eventually find it. We have these ancient things of like pretty much the code. I don't know if it's this code exactly, but you can see it's one of these like ancient texts where they're like, that's so strange, right? So it's kind of like all these stories and all these like, you know, all these like deep human mysteries. So we now live for a short amount of time. But we're trying to advance it, okay? Now, here's the thing, okay? Expand your mind. So maybe we're not just one dot. Maybe, friends, what everyone has been saying, has been thinking about this for a long time, has been true. We are all a part of like one string of a time continuum. And our consciousness, all of us, they're pretty much linked. It's one consciousness, okay? There's humanity, that's it. And it's an interconnecting weave. So it's still going to be here in 100,000 years. So that's why when people like talk about souls, like our souls are like drops in an ocean. All right, when you die, you just like get another soul pretty much. That's how we're able to always advance. Okay, always advance. You ever always think about that? Like, hey, how come government people? How come they're there for so long? How do they plan for like 50 or 100 years stuff? This kind of makes sense. It's still humans. Humans are one. That's pretty much it, right? Now, here's the thing. Obviously, the science of today, like the Neil deGrasse Tysons, they'll say QQ. They go, the science is, but this type of stuff, it's beyond this talk. Because this science is like, it's this science that the ancient, the non-human entities know of, obviously it's beyond us, okay? Ancient religions touch on it often, and it's all our minds, consciousness. We're all hooked up to one network. So that's what it comes down to. We are all part of the same stream. We are not really individuals. We are just made up of droplets in the ocean together, as I just showed you, okay? And it's important to understand this for the human population control part, because with the government's constant control of the population, slowly all of us get neutered over time. Friends, by the way, there's some chemical thing that's, for some reason, I think started in Antarctica. But anyway, our testosterone levels have been dropping for like 100 years all over the world. And it's basically come from the water. So something has been melting in Antarctica or whatever. It's like all our testosterone levels have been dropping slowly over time, okay? And a lot of people say like, evil. I don't think it's the evil part. It's that population control part, which we'll get to explain next, okay? So we become more what they call transhuman. Now, we don't become trans, not like the transbenders, but actually what's transhuman? It's kind of like where you're no longer just a fully human bioorganism. You got a consciousness. It's almost like android stuff. I'll show you some pictures. If you see transhuman art, that's what it is. It's basically like, like half human, half android. And we've already seen this, friends, with NeuraLink. You know what I mean? Like you have Elon Musk's NeuraLink is literally doing this right now. He's literally putting a chip in your brain. And this guy was able to control his laptop and play chess using his brain. So we're already on the way there. It's just like we're so early, okay? And you can see even with AI, robots, all these other things, you can see it's inevitable. It's like, okay, we're just going to enhance ourselves even more, okay? So if you roll this forward, friends, what ends up happening is our brains, our eyes, they get larger and we lose more of our hair. And we probably end up looking like some of those alien UFO beings themselves. And see, our eyes over time, they're getting larger. Our brains are getting larger. Our mouth is getting smaller, because we're making our food more efficient. That's why you guys know. If you see pictures, friends, from people from 120 years ago, they had giant jaws. You want to know why? Because they were eating all the bones. They had really big jaws. Their lower teeth, they had better teeth than us pretty much, because they were like smashing out all the meat and they were grinding stuff out. But now, if you roll it forward, what happens? We end up having larger eyes and smaller mouth. It's very similar to what we have. Now, obviously, these are like pretty much what they call androids of them, but you basically get to see like, wow, interesting. Our mouth's getting smaller, head's getting bigger. You're kind of looking like that. That's like obviously rolling it forward over time. And obviously, as I joke, maybe Vitalik himself is a 4,000 IQ alien. We'll see. And if you roll this forward, right, friends, so the barbaric nature of humans, all right, we will slowly subdue over time. Crime rates and everything have been dropping every like 20 years. They're just dropping so much. Our violence rates on average are dropping much. So even though we see the Trump stuff appearing, but yeah, they're like, it's downtrending, but there's like these spikes that come up of volatility pretty much. And then once we're finally, I guess, like roll these hundreds of thousands of years, how long it's going to take, eventually we're no longer that threat that's going to blow each other up with nukes and any UFO technology we have. So friends, these deep state shadow actors, who some say could even be non-human operated themselves, They've always been there, and they're always going to be there, okay? And this is interesting. In one mystery sighting, fans, I know you don't believe this is true. Wait till you see this. Wikipedia have this, okay? So this is, look at this, okay? Wikipedia. When did the Wright brothers invent flying? 1903, okay? What happened in 1896? People saw blimps in the sky. Mystery airship, okay? Literally, thousands of Americans all across America saw blimps in 1896 before the Wright brothers did the first flight. All right, now, and government statement, like an actual government guy, he made a public statement. He basically said, no, people aren't seeing stuff, but there were thousands of reports. If you read this Wikipedia entries, like, look at this. Reports of the alleged crew and pilots usually describe them as humanoid, although sometimes the crew claimed to be from Mars. It was popularly believed that mystery airships were the product of some inventor or genius who was not ready to make knowledge of this creation public. So people thought someone made this amazing invention. They can't release it to the world yet. They were seeing these blimps in the sky before we invented flight. And look at this, man. So this is like the Phantom airship. That was a phenomenon. Thousands of people across the USA claimed to observe it from late 1896 through mid-1897. All right? So what happened? Look, we don't know what happens, but I'll just show you some similarities from other UFO sightings. So this is the most interesting part. The government guy, one of the government guys who said, no, it's not a secret thing. Move on with your lives. That guy, he later goes on to admit, that wasn't me talking. I was in a trance. Basically, someone was controlling him from the background saying like, no, just say these words out here, you're done. Okay, interesting. Now, what was that mystery airship? Just to give you an example, because I tell you, this rabbit hole goes deep. This is one of thousands of examples, okay? Considering you could literally see aliens in there, okay, what was that mystery airship? My guess is, this is me, so aliens, because friends, they're so advanced, all right, what they can do is they can manipulate time and perception. So what they can do is they can get a visual image of what you know in your head, and they can basically make an artifact of that, like this hologram stuff. So humans back then, all they had seen were these comic books of like big airships. So that's what they were seeing in the sky. It's a phenomenon. That's how advanced they are in technology. It's kind of like you're a monkey, all you can see is bananas and trees. So then they can make a giant banana appear right in front of you, and you think, oh, it's a banana floating. Well, no, it's not a banana floating. It's a plane floating. It's a plane flying in the sky. But they'll see it as a banana. That's why it's this advanced tech is way, way, way beyond our science, okay? So obviously this is just my interpretation of something, how like something like this can happen. And you got to remember, you and I live in the third dimension. We're bound by time. As you go up in higher dimensions, they are not bound by time. They can see every timeline. So they can see me and you yesterday, today, and tomorrow. So they can see the past, the present, and the future. They can see that. Now, we can't think of this because you and I, we're in third dimension, man. We're just monkey brains, okay? But that's pretty much what it is. And it's very obvious, right? We're not these zookeepers. They are, okay? We are just zoo animals. And you even have, friends, African tribes, Aboriginal tribes. They have like cave drawings of the entities who visit us for 5,000 years. One of the African tribes, friends, they have the solar system mapped out like 3,000 years ago. They literally knew the solar system. They know where these alpha stars is. I think what it's called, I forgot the name of the tribe, but yeah, you can look them up. They literally talk about the entities. They're like, oh yeah, sweet. They have a name for them, like the creators, like the family ones, the older brothers, as they call them. It's kind of funny. Like this African tribe had the entire solar system mapped out before we even knew what a pen was. That's wild. See what I mean? From 5,000 years ago, right? So, and they used to say, hey, they used to come down and like they taught them how to like aliens, the non-human intelligence, right? They taught them how to like graze the fields and make food and stuff. So they educate them how to make alcohol and things like that. There's many stories like that over time. So now, friends, remember this rabbit hole, right? Now you're probably asking, right? So why are the entities more prevalent in our government now? Like, why are they like appearing all this now when they've been around for all these thousands of years? Well, we have a major invention now, friends, that we didn't have 2,000 years ago. It's nuclear weapons. That's the key changer. We now have the ability to blow everybody up. So with nukes, we are no longer just innocent cavemen, you and me. We can literally blow up the whole world if we fight too much. That's the difference now. So we dropped Hiroshima Nuke in 1945. Of course, one of the most devastating events in human history, the Hiroshima Nuke, okay? So we dropped that, right? And you want to know, interesting, as soon as we dropped that, UFO sightings skyrocketed. They started skyrocketing. A lot of activity started happening all around America, especially the weapons around stuff. Okay, so hundreds of UFO sightings starting to appear. They start to watch way more closely because it makes sense. They're like, whoa, the monkeys, they found out how to blow each other up. We got to pay closer attention now. Friends, they were funny. They were even reported alien abduction stories where they got beamed images in their head. The zookeepers, so non-human intelligence aliens, right? They started warning humans, like, don't nuke anymore. Stop doing this stuff. And they basically said, you're doing harm in other places. Stop doing it. And now we're going to relate to another stuff as well. So interdimensional entities and societies. So the nuclear weapons that we launch, they affect other beings in other dimensions or in another time. Something else. We don't just affect what we see on Earth. And the science doesn't fully understand it yet. Yeah, by the way, it could be underneath ground. I don't know. But just somewhere else. Just other places that the public doesn't know about. The mid-curvers don't know about. But one day, friends, you know, we will know about it. But we'll all be gone from this life anyway. Okay? So all of these stories, they are impossible to absorb the first time. But with enough evidence and reading, you'll see the 1,000+ pieces of anecdotal stories, written reports, leakers. And they do carry some merit. You're like, oh, okay, you know, maybe... Yeah, like I said, maybe 99% of you guys, all this information is junk. Okay, that 1% is still like, just blows your mind for the first time, right? So now you can see, friends, Donald Trump. Go back to Donald Trump. You're seeing the Donald Trump fist pump, right? Donald Trump. So that's where we are today, right? This representation of Trump out here and his fist pump. Now, Donald Trump, he doesn't comply with the bug-worshipping globalists, okay? But we can pretty much bet in 200 years from now, we will be more toned down than we are today. And we all know this from the Great Reset. Klaus Schwab, and it's an obvious population control plan from the deep state players, see? The Great Reset and the struggle for liberty. As you get to see these faceless guys, these faceless dudes, right? So that's pretty much what it comes down to. Now, obviously, friends, look, obviously, like we don't know anything, but it seems that see, friends, we're barbaric to them. So even us killing cows, you notice there's a lot of cow abductions. We kill cows for meat and all these other things. And I know there's like the vegan movement and we joke about them, but yeah, I mean, I'm not going vegan. Screw that. But I'm just telling you, like, it seems like the overarching message is they want us to go away from this killing stuff. Stop killing these animals to eat meat. Don't kill people. And that's why the Great Reset's coming like, I got an idea. Eat bugs. I'm like, nah, it's too early, man. It's too early. Okay, so for another source of protein. Now, the money printer, friends, is diluting the fiat purchasing power for the middle class workers. So they have to con everyone into eating bugs. Obviously, that's the Great Reset, right? And if you Google it, right, I will not eat the bugs. You will eat the bugs. So all of these, you will eat the bugs. So friends, we know this. By the way, if you go to the articles, how a conspiracy theory about eating bugs made its way, blah, blah, blah. It's not a conspiracy theory, dude. We know. You want us to eat the bugs for that reason. Now, here's the thing, friends. For a low-class worker, the printed dirty fiat currency can no longer afford the luxury of eating normal meat for protein, okay? So because your purchasing power gets diluted so much, population is like huge, the purchasing power, right? You're dwindled away. You can't, they can't afford to eat meat. You know, in the CPI index, the CPI index used to have high quality meat in there. Now it has like very, very low quality meat. They change the index to like basically fool everyone. So everything leading now, friends, is pointing towards this human population control. And it even explains dudes like Bill Gates and all these other weirdos, psychopaths out here, right? So you can see they really do want humans to tone it down from our barbaric, testosterone-fueled, savage ways. Yeah, but it's going to take some time. But the sheep, friends, they are the ones that are complying right away. And they'll probably, look, those sheep, if we spoke to them, he told them all this, you know what? 70% of them, they won't rebel, man. I know those people. You know what they'll say? They'll go, okay, so what you're saying is this thing is inevitable anyway, so we'll just comply now. That's what they're like. You know they're like that, okay? They don't have a fighting spirit. And that's pretty much what it comes down to. So they enjoy complying, okay? They enjoy complying. And complying is what they'll do, friends. Not us, though. Not us. Stay in your dirty fiat system, you know? That's why I ask you, do you really want to live your life being a rat in a cubicle forever? You know? Like, okay, it's inevitable. All right, sweet. But for this life now, man, for this life now, while we have this gift, I don't think we should waste it. That's personally me, okay? This is where crypto comes in. So now we have this Life-Raft. We've got cryptocurrency, right? We have a whole new system, friends. You know, crypto, you know, all the logos out here. We have this new method, these new protocols of how we transact value, all right? So obviously what's going to happen? Very obvious. Every fiat Ponzi system implodes. The monetary system, friends, will shift phases. And they will do their great reset that they've been talking about for 10 years. And it's going to be a big entertainment show for the world again, just like this Donald Trump stuff was, okay? And they will rebase everyone's currency into the new dogshit standard. So you're going to exchange like 4 of your current US dollar for one brand new shiny world dollar. But you got rebased 4-1, bro. That's what it comes down to. Like, I don't know what the real ratio, I'm just guessing 4-1. I'm guessing 4-1. They just make a new currency. Oh, it's a new system, just so people don't revolt. So what's the difference with our system, crypto system? Crypto is scarce, friends. And humans, we have the fiery rebel spirit inside of us. That's why people see themselves in Trump. That's why Make Memes Great Again. Also, you get to see, right? That's why there's that rebellion part. So humans, we have this like yin yang, right? So we have a lot of populations are sheep, but you also have the mavericks, the rebels, the people out there, you know, like the Apple advertisement. Yes, the go out, change the world and do that stuff. But we know it swings. You can't be a rebel for everything. You got to comply sometimes, but this is just obviously a topical one that we're seeing right now and the deep state and how it all connects here. So the crypto industry, friends, it's still explosive with growth potential. You and I, we are here on this journey of friendship, okay? We are here. We're here to crank it, okay? We are here to punt crypto. So, you know, we got a short life, relative, and we're all in a simulation anyway. So, yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. Now, as you got to see, the fist, Donald Trump, the deep state clearly planned assassination attempt, okay? Just like they've done to other presidents who weren't immediately selling their soul. By the way, if you want to know, you know, 3 of the assassination attempts are 1-for-1 linked to the central bank. Just to let you know. And by the way, did you know that Donald Trump said he's going to fire Jay Powell if he gets elected? Right, which is US Federal Reserve Chairman. Yes, 3 presidents, friends, 3 presidents assassinated. They were assassinated because they want to go off the fiat system and they want to put their own scarce money supply. George Washington, forgot 2 others. I remember them, okay? I think I made a Twitter post about them as well. So now, where are we? You and I, we can't do anything, man. We can't do anything. We know we got the fiery spirit. Just clicking buttons on the internet. We know we are, okay? We know we are in this world, in this place. But we have this 4-year cycle, okay? We do have this 4-year cycle, friends. And we have these Bitcoin, all these stories and all this journey. It's going up. It's raising its place in the world. Bitcoin, its dominance across the world continues. All the altcoins and the cryptocurrency protocols and how we transact. Yes, we've got the 4-year cycle, the global liquidity index. We see this edge, we see it coming. So yeah, friends, look, there's a lot of us in this matrix. There's a lot, all right? Crypto is the Life-Raft. It's the escape boat. So here's the thing, though. We know eventually that if enough people join crypto, we become the new corrupt system. We know that, right? They'll find the way to do that. Even though the public ledger is transparent, like if you bribe someone, everyone can see it, they'll find a way around that. We know they will. But here's the thing, man. While all the sheep are listening to the TV box and saying, yes, yes, the poor gunman, while they're saying that, just know that they still have to wake up every day and go work for fiat currency and hold their fiat currency. And they like it because it's nice and safe. But for us, we know how awesome crypto is because your purchasing power goes up over time. So we know we don't even need all the sheep to come to this crypto island. We don't need all of them. We just need a bit. And they are coming. And we know that it's due to come again soon. Okay, so crypto is the best opportunity we have in the world right now. And we know when enough of the sheep come in, they start rolling on top of each other and they want to come buy the top. You know that. But what they've actually done is they've taken the weak purchasing power from the US dollar. They've come and they've joined crypto an extreme moment. And what they'll be able to do is they're the impatient ones. You are patient with me. They will be transferring wealth into your hand. then you might be able to, maybe hopefully half of you guys can go buy a house or retire. Maybe you don't have to work as hard as you do for 10 years. Maybe go on a holiday, whatever it is, whatever cryptos change your life in a good way. That's what it'll come down to. But then these people, the new round of sheep who now become like slaughtered, and then they become like, they become initiated in the next cycle. And then they're going to get the next sheep round in until we finally onboard the whole world. And hopefully you and I can look back and go, wow, at least we weren't at the very, very end, at the end of that fiat debt collapse. That's what it comes down to, friends. So it all comes down to, right, the fiat currency rats being just a few months away from noticing how much we believe. That's what it comes down to. When they see how much we believe, they will believe too. Because they're empty vessel rats. We know they will. We know when everyone's in crypto, you don't want to go back, man. You don't want to go back. Do you want to go back? Stock market's a scam, just like everything else. It's just we're the better scam. We go up. So there you go, friends. You stay bullish on crypto. We've gone through this big, big rabbit hole. We started with Donald Trump, went through like all it comes down to is human population control, all these other theories, all these other speculation, how this thing comes out. But then I wrapped it all the way up, and I just said, well, it's great. It's great we know this. It's eye-opening, really. Third eye-opening. You and I can't do much though. But once you now have seen the Matrix, now you know it is a game, and now you know, hey, I don't want to play in that field, man. You're going to the slaughterhouse. The inflation is a scam number. They are printing 7% of the currency, but they're only paying you, the worker, 3%. There is a 2 to 4% spread in there that the central banksters and all the JP Mosquito and Golden Slugs and all the other bug eater, bug worshippers, they are using that to bribe for wars. They're using that to bribe scientists to keep them in there, to get people killed, right? To keep the technology and all this human population control. They're doing that. That's basically just to keep themselves in power. It's all ultimately power structure. You know what? I'm never going to take down their power structure, and you aren't either. But I can tell you something. There's too many poor people. There's too many of them. So you and I, we got to be a step ahead. We have to predict how this population of people, how they move. And what I think they're going to do is, as you know, is they love buying the tops. And what do we know happens, man? They print enough money, currency comes in, greed takes over, people come into crypto. There you have the next part of the crypto cycle. And once again, we advance and build market cap and higher valuations for crypto. And hopefully you and me can look back at this one day and go, wow, we were really early. We just didn't appreciate it as much. That's what I hope we are right now. We're early enough where you can change your life and also confirm friendship. This is your friend Sammy. Like, subscribe, bell button, all. I will catch you in the next one.